Are we live? So hello everybody at ESA Summer 2019. My name is Kaadzik and this is Chip and Dale to Rescue Rangers. And this will be a run that contains a lot of first times because this is my first ESA. This is the first time this game is at ESA. This is the first NES game of this ESA. I have played this game on an actual console the first day of my life because I regularly play it on emulator. And this is the first recorded run of me playing this on an actual console, so I hope it will be good. I guess I will entertain you somehow. So I will give you a countdown if that is good. I will be ready. So 3, 2, 1, and go! So, hello everybody once again. This is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 2. The first game is a lot more popular in the speedruns than the second game, and you may wonder why is that? Well, there is a lot of RNG involved in this game, especially the bosses, and you will see that in like a minute when I hit the first boss. So as you may see right here on the screen, I'm trying to avoid as much RR tokens as possible. This is because at the end of each level they are counted, and well, counting is slow, so the least possible amount will be just enough. Right now I'm heading to the first boss. It is Water Rabbit. This intentional damage just to avoid one of the RN tokens. Water Rabbit is kind of annoying. It has one of the heaviest RNGs in the game that can affect the run. And even though my platforming for now is actually quite good, and I'm proud of it, the boss will ruin everything, but I hope it won't. Right now we are heading to it. You see that I took damage on the road, but I fortunately get healed by my friend Monty over here. This happens only twice in the run. One is precisely during or before this boss fight, and once in the last stage of the game. So this is Water Rabbit. We have to fight him and the current that is in the sewers, because we fight him in the sewers. And I hope I will be able to show up some. For now, he's giving me quite a bad pattern, to be honest. I'm just gonna do this a little bit more casually, because I have one health only. And also he tries to kill himself. That's good for me, I guess. And as you can see, I've thrown the box and it was wiggling and it was shining. This meant it deals double damage to the boss. But the boss takes six hits only, so it's the first stage cleared. The difficulty of this game ramps up quite much compared to the first one, because in the first one every boss has to be killed with 5 hits, and in this game it ramps up. First 3 bosses are 6 hits, the next one is 7, the next 3 are 8, and the last one is 10. This damage boost was also intentional, don't worry about it. So right now we head into the second boss. This is my favorite stage and my favorite boss, because it's the only boss in the entire game that doesn't have any RNG whatsoever, and that's great when you're a speedrunner, right? So the next few stages are actually quite fine to us speedrunners, because this one, as I said, doesn't contain much RNG. The next one can be kinda manipulated. Of course I'm talking about boss fights, and the fourth one is a timed one, and also it doesn't contain a boss fight whatsoever, so it's even better. So right now I have to fight. First of all, I had to fight the current in the first boss fight. Now I had to fight this wind, but as I said, everything is set in this fight, so it's kind of easy. I just have to dodge the first part of rubbish and then hit it, because he provides ammo, which is kind of dumb if you try to be a villain, you know. Don't provide ammo to your opponents. That may kill you, as you may see like a couple of times during this run. But as I said, it only takes 6 hits, so it's dead right now. So it's the second stage clear. And this was kind of an easy boss. It's actually quite hard for the casuals, because, well, you have to fight the wind, but as long as you try out the pattern, it's all fine. This stage is kind of unique, because it's the only stage in the game that doesn't contain a cutscene beforehand. Also, this damage boost is kinda required. I wanted to damage boost from that butterfly, but I missed that jump. But it still works, I guess. And this stage is also one of the few stages that has only one screen, because as you may have seen, there are stages with 3 screens, 2 screens. This one contains only one big screen, so if I die any point of here, I have to start from over again, but I think it won't happen because I'm right at the end. This is quite short one, but I will need a second of silence during this third boss fight, because, as I said, we can manipulate it and the strats are quite hard. So don't judge me if I fail, but also I will need a lot of silence right now, sorry. that may happen, that may happen. I screwed up the second shot, so the third one was kind of awkward. We may be here for a while. Just safely for this time. Finally! Oh gosh, that was terrible, but here we are. Also, this is the only stage in the game that you can complete without taking any RR tokens, so that's kind of unique. And the difficulty of this boss was that, when you don't do the power shot, as I told you before, you don't actually hit him, and to do the power shot, because I didn't mention it before, you have to walk straight in a line for like 20 frames or something. It's timed, and well, these platforms at the boss level are kind of hard to perform because they're barely long enough to actually do the power shot. So it took me a couple of retries to actually kill this boss. Also, this is a quite hard platforming section because this level introduces us to ice as a mechanic, but if you're fast enough, you can complete it in like 30 seconds, as you can see now. And it doesn't have a boss, so it's quite nice at the end. So we are entering the harder part of the run right now, because from now on every boss has higher HP, and this level, this is a haunted house, and the platforming section, as in most levels, is quite easy, especially if you run this for a couple of years like I do. But the boss fight, on the other hand, well, this is the hardest RNG boss fights whatsoever, so it's a nice change of pace compared to the 3 easy levels that we had before, because this boss can take like 30 to 40 seconds if you're lucky, but it rarely happens. It can take up to 4 minutes if you're really unlucky, but it also rarely happens, so I hope the RNGs will be in our favor this run. We'll see. For now, as you can see, another mechanic added to this level is making it darker, also another damage boost just before the boss fight. And may I introduce you to the Ghost. You may wonder why RNG is a big part of this particular boss. Well, it can do two things. It can either throw rocks at you, which he did now, fortunately, and you can throw things back at him, these rocks particularly, so we may damage him and finish the boss quicker. But also he can shoot lightnings, which he doesn't do, fortunately, and that only wastes your time. He can throw rocks in 3 patterns, fast one, medium one, and slow one. During the slow one, there's a chance that he will drop them slow enough to actually pick them up twice and hurt him twice, because there can't be 2 projectiles at the screen, and if the one is still on the screen, the second one despawns immediately. And this was the lightning bolt. I hope he won't show it ever again, because it's just a waste of time. But so far we hit him like 4 times, if I remember correctly, so we are on a good pace. And also slow one, maybe with a double hit to show it off to the ESA, not this time. But we still have like 2 hits, so we can perform this later on. Right, Ghost, you'll cooperate, I hope. For now he threw us a medium one, so I guess I won't show the double hit for the slow pace, because, well, this is the last hit if I counted it correctly, because it takes 7 to actually kill him. Right now, can you please stop shooting lightnings and throw rocks at me? Okay, so this is the last hit. Quite a lot of fast patterns, so I'm actually happy it happened. And this last one was actually the one that could be done in 2 at once. But I couldn't show it off because the boss fight has ended, fortunately, quick enough. Right now, the best part of every single speed game, which is unskippable cutscenes. So right now I can throw it out to Egri to tell us something.
So we have a $5 donation from Franz Kappa. Thank you very much for that. Also want to give a quick shout out to ViewSonic Elite to thank them for the long-term partner for us, who are providing us with all the gaming monitors here at the event. They have over 30 years of experience working on CRT to 1 millisecond LCD monitors. ViewSonic Elite is using that knowledge to take their gaming products in a new direction. Thank you very much for that.
This was a hard damage boost. Fortunately, I got it, because, well, to set it up, you have to have like 4 or 5 perfect jumps and not mistime them. This damage boost could have been avoided, but just for safety I'm taking it. Because if I do the YOLO strat and not perform it correctly, I die immediately to the fall damage. So, oh, that was unfortunate. So I have to show, I can show you this stage again, because this is as well only one screen, and also when you mistime one shot, one jump actually, you cannot perform the damage boost as I've mentioned earlier, but at least you saw it once, so that was something. Again, trying to do this jump quick enough so I don't die immediately from the fall, and maybe this time I will contain at least one more heart. Thank God I didn't do that earlier damage boost actually, because I have one more heart that I can spare on the boss, because we are entering the boss fight right now. As I said, this is the only one screen level, so we should be fine. This is an ostrich on a monocycle, whatever, and he throws his gears at us. He can be up one of those two platforms, and also can shoot us from below. If he is on below, there is a chance he will go off screen and come back, which takes some time, but this is one of the bosses from the big three that is coming up that doesn't contain that much RNG, and it's not that annoying, so he can be done quite quickly, and the best and worst scenario differ like 20 seconds apart, so it's really nice. And also he can throw in 3 different directions. He can throw the near one, the middle one, and the further one, compared to comparing how the gears work. This is the furthest one, and he can throw them from the top and from the bottom, as I said before. The closest ones are actually quite hard to hit, but I managed to do this, so another was completed. And we are nearing the second one. You may wonder why we had those unskippable cutscenes, where the main villain of this game, Fat Cat, has locked himself in a theme park and spread keys to his lockout in like 3 different parts of the park, so we can enter them in a random order, or the order we choose to. But as a speedrunner, it doesn't really matter, because the order is up to you, so I just pick the one that is up top. So right now it's the clock tower, the western world, and the future world. This is the western world, and this is the minecart section, something that shouldn't exist in any game ever, because this is really bad. You have to avoid those rocks, and when you get hit you have iframes, and you know what that means. You can't interact with everything, including this lever that pushes the cart forward. So if you take damage and try to push the cart forward, you just fall down, because you can't interact with the lever, so you just skip it and die. And that's why I try to avoid them as much as possible. So far so good, actually. I usually take damage there, so to compensate that I will damage boost through this wrecking ball. And right now we are into another boss fight, Card Cat. He is also annoying, because he can either throw cards at us, which is good, but he can walk randomly like this, doing absolutely nothing, and waste our time. The good thing is, he throws the cards when he's on the ground, and actually I can hit him every single time, every single cycle when he's throwing cards on the ground, because if he stands on one of the platforms, I have to do it once every 2 or 3 cycles, like when he's up top, and this is quite bad, but I hope he falls down quite fast. Yep, he did. The best possible RNG, I actually got one just before leaving to ESA, is when he's just sticking to the bottom and throws cards at you, because then you can throw it every single cycle, but for now on I had to kinda work around it. It was quite fine. We have a really good pace. We may actually save some time from the marathon if we had any delays. And right now we are entering the future world, one of the longest actually stages of the game. It has 3 quite long screens, but the longest one is obviously the last one, when you have this boss fight. Also, the diagonal shots are quite hard in this game, so I'm glad I actually pulled it off, because this particular level contains a lot of diagonal shots. This is the one that gets rid of the enemy that was there, and I would be forced to damage boost through him if I didn't kill him. And more diagonal shots are coming near the boss fight, because, well, you have to kill him basically only with diagonal shots. This stage is going quite well. Usually I have to take like 1 or 2 damage, because I get hit by one of these enemies, because they are really not well placed for the player. You should kill them, but as a speedrunner we try to avoid them as much as possible. This is a grimacing gecko, because he makes weird faces and he's a gecko. Also, as I said, diagonal shots are not that easy in this game, so I might miss a few of those. You may wonder, why do I have to shoot diagonally? Well, the reason is this ball right here in front of him blocks every single thing that I throw back at him, so I can't hit it. I have to avoid it as much as possible, so I could either jump and throw, but that is way more riskier strat, or I can just shoot diagonally and we should be fine. That was close, but we're okay. This is one of the bosses that takes 8 damage to kill. And also, a little bit of the trivia, you may wonder why the screen is black, because the rest of the bosses had quite a nice background. Well, the reason is, this boss contains so much sprites to build in, let's say, that NES was running out of memory, so they had to remove something, and they thought, well, we'll remove the background. This is also the case with the last boss, but it goes to an even bigger extreme, but we'll talk about it when the last boss is coming. Right now we have killed the gecko, so we are able to go to the last boss. Actually, a little bit of trivia as well. This is supposed to be the last boss of the entire game, because he's showed even at the cover of the game, but the devs thought then, not dealing with Fat Cat at the end would be anticlimactic, so they had to force Fat Cat later on the game. That's why Gecko was moved to one of the theme park levels. And this is the Fat Cat's hideout. We tried to kill him, but there is a surprise for us at the end. This is actually the hardest screen of the game. That's why if I get hit by one of those birds, I basically have to die, because this floor is really hard to avoid. I hope I don't get hit right now. Okay, this I can manage, and we basically got through it. The good thing is we get healed right at the end of the screen, because it's one of the hardest of the game, as I said. But what is the best way to spend those precious hearts and health that we got from Monty right here? Well, to damage boost 2 times in the right to next screen, because there are lasers that we have to wait for them to disappear, but well, we won't wait, we are speedrunners, right? That's why we are just rushing through everything, and what a convenience. Right after this is the hardest screen of the game, because these balls almost always behave as in a set pattern, but sometimes they can do random things. So even if you learn the pattern, you have to manage on the fly, but thankfully it went well. And this is the last screen before the boss. You can wonder what is spelled with these RR tokens. I don't care about them because they are counted right at the end of the game, and after the timer has been stopped. I wonder what chat is typing right now when they saw those RR tokens. As you can see, I told you that the level of removing backgrounds is coming to the extreme during the boss fight. Well, they removed the background and the floor, because this guy right here, the Robo Fat Cat, takes even more sprites than the gecko. Also, after he takes 5 hits, because he has 10 hits, we have to perform 10 hits in order to kill him. After 5 hits, he damages a little bit, and he shoots screws and fire through his chest. And because of that, it generates a lot of lag, even on the NES, on the emulator, everywhere. And because of that, these bombs that we are supposed to throw at him, well, it's not an easy job, because as you can see, they are on a timer, and if we mistime something, we won't be able to hit him properly. And if it lags, it doesn't take exactly 3 seconds, but a little bit more, and you have to manage. So it basically comes up to muscle memory on how to throw these bombs in order to actually deal damage. Oh, this one was a little bit too early, because it fell down onto his wrecking ball. But we are 2 hits in right now, and we are waiting. As you may see, sometimes he can drop right onto his bomb and deal damage to himself, because, well, villains do things like this, and it's a Robo Fat Cat in an actual one, so maybe that is the reason. Programming went wrong somewhere. Maybe that's the allegory of the game, that some things shouldn't exist here, for example, throwing bombs that are on a timer. But I'm digressing for now on, let's continue running. As you can see, Fat Cat attacks on me only when he's on the right side of the screen, so I try to make sure he's not, but for the last couple of hits he only went there. And as you can see, lag kicks in quite much with everything, and this will happen every time he goes down. Basically, he will spit some fire and screws, and this will, well, screw our timings. Thankfully, every time he drops down, he drops onto his own bomb, so we don't have to manage with the lag. So a lot of free hits actually, it doesn't happen often, but unfortunately also many hits from him. And when he doesn't attack, will save some time, so it will be quite nice, but he really wants to attack us. He has 3 attacks, as you may have seen. The Wrecking Ball from his left hand, the hand from his right hand, and the Electric Tail. The hand is the really weird attack because it comes in quite fast. Fortunately, we didn't get it quite much during the non-lag phase, because in the lag phase it goes down even slower, so it's easier to avoid. But we are 8 hits in, so we should be ready on time. In the next 2 hits we have actually really good time. I hoped it would have been around 20 minutes, and it actually is, so it's nice. So this is the pre-last hit, if I counted correctly. So right at the next one we can go for time. Well, the hand is easy to avoid, but I was talking about time, so I forgot about things. So if I counted correctly, this should be time. Get ready, and time! Almost 2019, almost 2019. I could stall for like 7 seconds and then set time to be 2019, but it was a really good run compared to my estimate, like it was crazy. And the fact that I've picked this game on a console today and I've played it like 2-3 hours, and I'm not used to playing on controller like this, well, it was a really good run, to be honest. Before I leave, 3 things. First of all, shoutouts to Maxi, one of the guys from the tech crew, because if not him, I wouldn't be able to play on a console because it's actually his. He borrowed it for me so I can play. So big shoutouts to this guy. Also, right after the end of the game, for some reason, they forgot to get rid of bonus game that gives you lives, because we still need lives after the game has ended for some reason. And one quick thing, because before I leave, we have to go through this cutscene, and I want to show you something. Because as well this is unskippable, because apparently the bonus game at the end isn't the only thing that they forgot to leave out, and as I've mentioned, they removed some things in order to save memory, because it's a very late NES game. As you can see, it looks quite nice. It's actually from 1993, so you may wonder what is also deleted. Well, the thing deleted is, wait for it, this is the ending screen will come up right now, just in a second. With really nice music. This is the ending screen, yay, we beat the game, and the best thing is we can't leave it. We can't leave the ending screen. I can press anything on the controller, nothing happens. The only way to get rid of it is to reset the game or the console. So this is a really good programming. Well, it could have been one button, but why? Just for the sake of putting it. But yeah, that was it from me. You can follow me on Twitch, on Twitter, just a quick plug it in before I leave as well. I will be also running and hosting and reading donations throughout this marathon as well, so if you liked my commentary you can stick with the other runs. But yeah, I will just leave you with the next one, which is Solstice. It's a really good run, you should watch it, because, well, some of these skips are really tight. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.